As a lawyer, when I see a non-lawyer representing the other side, I get kind of excited. But all of a sudden the Wall Street guys have to deal with some retail investors and they're all, wah! You're watching Unbillable. The only thing constant is change. It's a total cliche, but it's affecting each and every one of us right now. I'm not talking about masks. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the stock market. What does an attorney have to say about the stock market? Well, look, no financial advice. I have no inside information, no tips for you. But if you're still here watching now, I do have to say the following. It sure seems like Wall Street is having a hard time playing with Main Street. In other words, it seems like the professionals involved in buying, selling, brokering stock transactions are having a hard time with those of us doing the same exact thing, day trading in the apps on our phones. And maybe it's not even day trading, maybe it's long-term investing. Whatever it is, it sure seems like the guys on Wall Street are having a hard time with the people on Main Street. And I don't want to get into the specifics of GameStop, AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry, any of these companies that are involved in the Wall Street bets saga. I don't want to push into those specific details. Again, no financial advice here on this vlog from me. It's unbillable, not uncommissionable or something like that. Anyways, the point is to say, I think the focus should really be on this interesting dichotomy between how the Wall Street guys think they're far too smart for the Main Street guys. But then when the Main Street guys start winning, the Wall Street guys have to change the rules. And why do I bring this up? I bring this up because little old me, just a lawyer in a law practice, we have Main Street, if you will, working in our field all the time. You have a right to represent yourself in a courtroom. You can be your own attorney, and 9 times out of 10, it probably is going to go poorly. You might not know where to stand, what to say. You don't know how to address the court, where to put the evidence. You have a hard time getting through the very basics of it. We're not even getting into the research and the cases before you that you should be citing to support your positions or how to question a witness. It all becomes very difficult. I mean, that's why there's a specialty school just for lawyers, followed by a bar exam that is pretty tough to pass. Congratulations to everyone who just passed it, by the way. But going back to it, in the courtroom, we have what we call pro pers, people representing themselves that don't have a law degree. And again, 9 times out of 10, it probably doesn't go well for them. And that's because the lawyer has many more tools, access to information, and maybe a dedicated career in that one area. But it doesn't change the fact that the regular person can represent themselves if they choose to. So where am I going with this and the whole Wall Street bets thing? Well, what happens in the courtroom when an attorney starts really doing well and winning the case against someone representing themselves? Nothing. The case just continues to march forward, and then the person representing themselves, eventually, they lose. And what happens if the opposite happens? What happens if that person is the 10 out of 10, the one who's ready to go, the one who has the information, isn't intimidated? Maybe they have a background, a parent, someone they know who's a lawyer, who knows what it is, but let's say they start winning. What happens? Nothing, they just keep winning. Sometimes the pro per, the person representing themselves, will have the facts on their side, will have the law on their side, and they will win. Sometimes they will outwork the attorney and they will win. The judge is a lawyer, just like the attorney who's losing. The judge doesn't step in and change the rules. So what do you do to these apps that are not letting you buy, sell, trade freely? I think it's time for some guys like me to step in, like I said. And what does that mean? It's not going to be enough to just find them money. This was a conscious decision made by these app companies to not let you make these trades. This is their decision. This is their way of saying the lawsuits, the government regulation, whatever comes as a result of their action is going to be less of a burden than letting the market continue to wreak havoc on their positions. And don't tell me they're trying to protect their users. Think about Vegas. You go to Vegas, the biggest gamble of them all. When has the pit boss ever come in and said, "Are you sure you want to gamble that? You might lose." The last time the stock market crashed, where were they to step in and say, "Are you sure you want to be putting your market in? You could lose it." They're only doing this to protect themselves. Don't fool yourself. If they could make more money off of you, they definitely would. And when they step in to protect themselves, like I said, it's time for the legal community. It's time for the government, so to speak, to step in and make it right. And I don't like regulation. I heard some people calling to put an end to all shorts. I don't think that's the right decision. Shorting is an important part of the market. When things get inflated or overvalued, it's the shorts who often bring them back to like a fair or realistic market value. So I don't want to eliminate shorting altogether, but maybe you shouldn't let someone short, I don't know, more than 100% of the shares of the stock. You can't buy more than 100%. Why would you be able to short more than 100%? But at the end of the day, the same regulations that are there to supposedly keep everything fair need to be there to keep everything fair. They don't let me skirt the rules of the court system just because I'm a lawyer. We can't let the Wall Street guys skirt the rules just because they're Wall Street guys. So whenever I see a company do that, like for example, the Ford Pinto, the Ford Pinto did the same thing. They made the decision to let the cars continue to explode because the cost of the recall would be too much. So what did we do? We made sure that wasn't the case. We punished them so severely so that they would never make that decision again. I think it's time to do something similar here. There are people who had their money in these stocks, and there's people who lost money because of the actions of these app companies. Actions that, as far as I know, and I haven't read the terms of service, are not lawful. So is it time to fine them money? No, that's not enough. It's time to arrest people. It's time to see someone handcuffed walk out of the building. Am I excited to see someone go to jail? Of course not. But that's the kind of action that something like this needs. Free market, free society. Let's look at this from another perspective. If there's anything at all that you've been practicing at for years and years and years, maybe you don't even think of it as practice because you enjoy it so much, and all of a sudden I pick up and start doing it, 10 minutes before we have a competition, almost no matter what that thing is, chances are you will beat me at it. You've been doing it for years and I just started. Take tennis, for example. If you've seen me hit the tennis ball here on this vlog, I've gotten better, I like to think, over the years that we've been playing. That practice makes you better at something. 3 years of law school, studying for the bar exam, and X number of years in a legal career is gonna probably make me a little more comfortable, a little better at presenting a court case in front of a judge, or just frankly being comfortable in a courtroom. But in the event that it goes well for that person who's representing themselves, in the event that the first time they've ever done something, they happen to be amazing at it, or more importantly, maybe they just have the facts or the law on their side, nothing comes to rescue the lawyer against the regular person. Nothing comes to make it so that the lawyer wins every time. What concerns me about what's going on with the stockbroker situation right now is they're changing the rules in the middle of the game. They're changing what you can buy, sell, put, trade, short, whatever, in the middle of the action. And that's not fair. And that's why someone, maybe that doesn't look like me, but probably has my degrees and credentials, will be coming to make it right. And that's why you should subscribe by clicking right over there and catch me in another episode of Unbillable right down here.